Check it out. Updates on the swiveling screen mount kit. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So why am I parked here in some miscellaneous parking lot? Well, I was going to shoot this video from my home, but my house is packed right now with parts and production equipment for new swiveling screen mount kits. So let me show you what we're dealing with here. So for those of you that aren't familiar with my swiveling screen mount kit, this is what the kit is that I've been manufacturing for some time. Originally came up with the idea about 2 years ago, and it was a kit that lowered the screen, angled it forward a little bit, and then positioned it toward the driver. But it didn't swivel, it didn't pivot, and I got a lot of requests from people, hey, can you make the thing swivel? So to that end, I designed this. It is a kit that allows the screen to swivel left and right. And there's a specific amount of drag that's tuned based on that polymer washer there in between the two parts. It's a kit that I've been manufacturing. This exact kit, I think, was a year ago now that I invented this. Well, over the last year or so, I've been listening to customer requests and just my own use of the kit, and I had several specific requests from customers. So I decided to implement some production changes, and the production change, this is the new style kit. So I'll hold the two together, and you can see the face profile here looks different. And if you see, I'll line up the mount holes, these holes here. There's this overhang changes, but that doesn't do anything. That was just wasted material. So you can see that this detail for the pivoting portion is moved. I'll flip it around backward here. Let me straighten this one out and show you from the rear so you'll get a better feel for it. So if I line up the upper mounting holes, you can see that this portion of the kit is shifted. Now what that does, moving this detail here forward, that does a couple of things. It moves the screen, it's 1/2 inch, roughly 13 millimeters. It moves the screen a 1/2 inch further away from the dashboard, and it allows you to more easily reach the screen with your elbow on the armrest. So I'm 5'10", and I have the seat set at a comfortable position. With my arm on the armrest, I can now reach, goodness, I'm touching the screen there, so I can reach about the lower right hand 75% of the screen without even moving my hand or my arm off the armrest. In fact, I can hit that centering button on the screen without even taking my arm off the armrest. If I decide to take my arm off the armrest, look at how far I can reach and wrap my hand around the screen. So it moves the screen out closer to your hand, but that moving that detail also, it changes this angled profile, and I'm able to reduce that profile tremendously. And what that allows is it allows it's about 7 degrees more screen angle toward the driver. So my previous kit, the screen was about there, which it's good, it's angled toward the driver. This new kit moves the screen so that when you're sitting with my head against the headrest, I'm looking directly at the middle of the screen, square on. This angle, the left-right angle, I'm looking square at the middle of the screen, and again, I can reach much of the screen just with my elbow on the armrest. So these design changes required a trip for me down to the other side of the state. It's a 5-hour drive to meet with the machinist. We had to do CAD drawing changes and basically update production. That detail change changed other aspects of the kit that we had to adapt to compensate for it. So I've been shipping those kits for about the last, I think, 4 or 5, 6 weeks now. So any of you that already have your kits in stock, or if you've got a kit ordered, you're getting the new kit. Any of them that I've shipped within the last month and a half are this updated kit. So I wanted to point, I didn't want to shoot a video on this too early, and there were a bunch of reasons why. Number one, just making production changes and improvements and updates really, I don't know that it justifies a separate standalone video. But I also wanted to address, I've had a few people ask me, what about the Chinese copies that are out there? And there are 2 different Chinese copies that are out there, which I gotta say really irritates me. That why can't the Chinese just invent their own products? Nevertheless, though, there's 2 Chinese copies out there, and I wanted to address the sort of that elephant in the room. And the Chinese copies have a number of specific problems, and they are a little bit cheaper than my kit, but they have a few specific problems. One of the biggest problems is with one of the kits, when you pitch the screen, it not only angles it, but it dives, the screen sweeps toward you, and what happens is this edge of the screen will dive behind the steering wheel. So the way I get around that with my kit is that you can see the pivot is offset. I actually step the screen to the right for left-hand drive cars, or to the left for right-hand drive cars. What that does is, it means that when I pivot the screen toward myself, the screen, now the edge of the screen is right at the edge of the wheel. My line of sight is right at the edge of the wheel. With the one Chinese kit, it dives so that you've got about 3 inches of screen completely blocked by the steering wheel and this stalk. So the bulk of your driving area here is hidden by the steering wheel. It also is very flexible. If you bump it with your finger, it jiggles. I have one of the mounts at home, and it's kind of atrocious, really. And I didn't want to, I had a lot of people tell me that I should address the copycat kits that are out there. But I didn't want to, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm just building up my kit, because you know, that's kind of an arrogant thing to do. And I've been waiting for somebody else to compare the 2 kits, and nobody has done it. So so I wanted to give you guys an explanation of the differences between my kit and the Chinese kits that are out there. So that's one of them, that it dives behind the steering wheel, as well as the fact that, like I said before, it's got a lot of flex to it. Mine is really, if you push on it hard, it's solid as a rock. I mean, it's really thick machined aluminum, and theirs is spindly, and it jiggles. The second Chinese kit is almost a direct copy of mine, but it has a few specific problems. The first problem that I'll point out is the pivot. My pivot is a large 1/2 inch, a little over 12 millimeter diameter hardened steel shaft, and underneath the packing nut is a Belleville spring and a thrust bearing between 2 thrust washers. Then I have a proprietary polymer that I use that's formulated for me specifically for this purpose as friction material between the two parts. They just use a normal nylon washer. It provides kind of an odd amount of drag. Their pivot is just a narrow, small diameter bolt, and it's the mounting bosses where the screen mounts are very thin, so it also has some flex. Also, one very large problem with their kit is the lack of this component right here. That black component is a strain relief for the wire harness. Both of the Chinese kits omit this. And what that does is, the screen, Tesla never designed the Model 3 screen and Model Y screens to pivot. Well, doing the mechanical work of the pivoting is that's one aspect. But, you know, it's not, once you get that right, it's right, and it's good and it's reliable. But now you've got this connector coming from the back of the screen to the wire harness, and every time you pivot the screen left and right, it puts a bending load on the connector right on the circuit board, the back of your screen. This screen's $1,200 to have replaced. So that's really bad for the harness and bad for the screen. So I include on all of my swiveling screen mount kits, and I've done this from day one, this strain relief. So the wire comes off of the display and goes right through this strain relief, which grabs the wire harness. So now when you move the screen back and forth, it takes all of the load off of that connector and just allows the harness itself to sweep back and forth just harmlessly without it putting a load on that connector. So there's other build quality issues with their kit as well, but those are the main highlights that I wanted to point out. So I haven't had a chance to upload videos much lately, the last month and a half or so, mainly because we've been updating our production for these new screen mount kits. We also have a couple more products that will be I'll be releasing within the next month or so. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Very excited about those products. But I've been doing my best to update the screen mount and make it as user-friendly as possible. We're in a continual state of evolution of this mount, and that's another thing too. If you order a screen mount from me, I'm here for customer service purposes. I mean, you can email me. We as a company, we're a small American company. All the people involved, myself, my wife, I have a man named Tom. He does the bulk of my 3D printing and nearly all of my CAD drawing. And then Mark, he is my CNC machinist. So there's 4 of us in our company. And this is it's something that we're passionate about, but being a smaller company, we're able to implement changes to our kits pretty rapidly. And that differentiates us from large companies like the Chinese companies that are copying this. They're a large company that just want to push thousands and thousands of parts out there that are cheap in quality and that you have really no customer support post-sale. And that's not the case with me at all. If you email me, I'll email you right back, and not just one email, we can have a dialogue. I've even given people my phone number. I am more than accessible. So just wanted to let you guys know these things. It's come up a lot lately, you know, what about the copies, and you know, what makes my kit better. So, you know, again, my kit, it's further away from the dash, it pitch adjusts further, it's a lot more solid, it has that strain relief. It doesn't dive behind the steering wheel the way the Chinese mounts do. So those are the main differences. My mount kit does cost a little bit more, but not hugely so. And let's face it, you're driving a car that cost you $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Do you really want to save, you know, $25,000, $30 on some cheap mount to bolt your $1,200 screen to? So that's kind of the way I look at it, is we do everything as high quality as possible. Everything is CNC machined out of aircraft grade billet aluminum. This is 6061 T6 aircraft aluminum. The Chinese mount, I think, is cast. It's got a different ring to it when you hit it. It's just the quality just isn't there. It is cheap, but not that cheap. And so anyway, just wanted to point these things out to you guys. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Keep your eye on my channel, because I have a lot of cool stuff coming up here real soon, cool products. So thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.